The side of my right foot just like barely tipped off of the edge of one of those pavers and I was done for. Like, hi guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to me sitting at my computer desk doing work and not getting ready at all because at almost 38 weeks pregnant, who has the time or the energy? But I'm sitting here and I'm getting ready to get some work done for the other channel, and I thought that I would go ahead and just do kind of one last final update. I don't think there will be much to update on past this point aside from labor itself. Please ignore my dogs. So today is August 26th and I am 37 weeks and 5 days pregnant today. The last couple weeks have been a lot. Let's just say when it rains, it pours. I've definitely been feeling that the past couple of weeks. So most of you know, I think I mentioned it in my packing my hospital bags video, but most of you know that a tree fell on my car and we're pretty sure that it's totaled now. I do have a couple of updates on that. The timeline of that is what's got me like really stressed out because as you guys know, I am almost 38 weeks pregnant and I am due the second week of September. I don't have a car. So basically the tree had fallen on the backside of my car, resulting in some frame damage. The back door didn't align with the frame anymore. It broke my back glass and it just had a lot of body damage overall. We contacted the insurance company the day that it happened. We tried to get that process sped along a little bit because it happened like a month before I was due. We had called around to different body shops trying to find a body shop that could get it in earlier than late September, because the earliest that we had been given for a date for one of the body shops was September 27th. I'm due on the 11th and the insurance company will not cover the rental car for longer than 30 days. So that puts us at having to return the rental car on September 6th, which is right before my due date, unfortunately. We wanted to try to get the car in to be assessed much earlier than that so that we would know what to do in the meantime, and while we still had a rental car, we wanted to get things figured out. We had called around and the insurance company had been sent a bunch of pictures and videos, and they had an adjuster take a look at those and kind of assess the damage and see if it could be repairable or if it was a totalable amount of damage. They had estimated it at around $11,000 worth of damage and they wanted to repair it. Now, being that my dad has been a mechanic for almost 30 years, he had a lot of problems with that, mostly because of the frame damage and the water damage that resulted from the back glass being shattered, especially during the storm, but we had a bunch of subsequent storms after that. And even with taping and crash wrap, there was still a lot of water damage in the back of the trunk and the back seats. And even when they were loading it to go to the body shop, all of that water rushed towards the front too, so the whole interior was just soaking wet. So after calling around, we managed to get a body shop to agree to take it, and they came and got it on August 15th. So the body shop also has a towing service like combined with it, so the same wrecker company that came and got my car also owns the body shop, and they had said that just by looking at it, it looked like enough damage to total the car out. The person that came to get my car had also said that they had picked up another car with a very similar amount of damage here recently from the storm, and after getting it to the shop and taking it apart, there were a lot of unseen damages that resulted in the cost of repair to go beyond what the insurance considered repairable, and they just ended up totaling it. Based on their assessment and my dad's assessment, we all think that it will be totaled. A lot of the other body shops that we had consulted with had also said that it's probably going to be totaled based on the amount of damages that we've described to them. I would say about half of the body shops that we consulted with wouldn't even take the car due to the water damage that we had told them about. The other companies had waiting lists that were way too long. A lot of them couldn't even get a look at the car until around October, and then some of them just happened to be closed. That's just the nature of body shops in this area, and the Mazda dealership doesn't do body work, so the Mazda dealership will not take it or even assess it. Our problem with it was that the car was brand new. It had 5,000 miles on it. I bought it in January. I bought it for the reason of being pregnant. I bought it right after I found out I was pregnant because I wanted a very safe, very new car to to bring her home in. Having the damage to the frame that it does, and the water damage, and the possibility of mold and mildew and things like that, kind of negates the whole reason that I purchased the car in the first place. And so our main problem with it was that the insurance company wanted to just try to fix it rather than total it out, which could result in there being some liability on their part if the frame did not hold up in a crash after it was repaired, because that frame is all one piece, and for it to be welded together or plated together, I think just damages the structural integrity of the car, in my dad's opinion anyway. I don't know that it's like safety crash rated after being fixed in that manner, and I don't think that the frame will ever align the same way again. Unfortunately, that's just the nature of the damages that the tree had done to it. And I did request that the body shop use all Mazda parts so as to not void my warranty, because like I said, it is a brand new car. That was our issue with it. Not to mention that for some reason, insurance in Tennessee, it's weird with devaluation. So now obviously if it were to be fixed and returned to me, it would have that mark on it. If I were ever wanting to trade it in or sell it for some reason, it would have the mark on it that it had been in an accident before. And as far as we can tell with our insurance, they will not cover the cost of devaluation in an act of God, meaning it wasn't in a crash, it was in an accident from a natural disaster. So I will not be compensated for the devaluation of the car. So I'm going to be losing a lot of money on it if they come back and say that it's just repairable and don't pay me any devaluation, even though I have gap insurance. So the whole situation has just been really, really stressful and unfortunate, especially because I loved everything about my car and I did a lot of research before I bought it. The whole situation has been very stressful. Now at this point, we're just waiting to hear back from the body shop, because they were very nice to squeeze us in for an appointment, even though they are also pretty busy over there. So I think the insurance wants us to call them and get a status update, call the body shop and get a status update here in the next few days. So I think that's what we're gonna do. Like I said, the rental car has to be returned in like 2 weeks, so less than 2 weeks. So that's what's going on with that. The body shop had said that I think if they wrote any more than $7,000 to $8,000 of extra damages, that it would result in the car being totaled. And I think that they said that there was a lot of unforeseen damage, structural damage, that they think would result in that being written. So I'm not entirely sure if it will or will not be, but I'm assuming I think we're all assuming that it will. But the insurance company said that because of it being such a new car, that they would try pretty much everything in their power to not consider it totaled. And I think the cost of fixing it has to be greater than 70% worth of the total value of the car, I think is how they phrased it. So I don't know, we'll see, but I'm really hoping that in the case that it is totaled, I can get the same model of car and be in around the same monthly payment that I was before. That's going to be a struggle considering the APR has increased since I bought the car. So I'm really hoping that they work with me on that and that the process is smooth if that's the case. But those are the updates I have on my car. Now, unfortunately, that's not the only situation that we've been dealing with. Like I said, that happened on, I believe, August 7th, which was a Monday. And exactly a week later, on August 14th, I fell in my driveway. I tripped over one of the stone pavers that we have like lining the driveway walkway to the house. I tripped over that and I fell like directly on my stomach, and I was 36 weeks pregnant at the time. So I was freaking out, obviously, because I've fallen once before in this pregnancy, but I fell like maybe 3 inches and like on my butt and not on my stomach. The only reason I even left the house was to go get lunch. And so I went and I had food, like takeout in my hands and my phone and everything. The side of my right foot just like barely tipped off of the edge of one of those pavers and I was done for. My balance is just not great anymore because my center of gravity is different, and I don't fall a lot. I'm clumsy, but I don't fall a lot. I had so many things in my hands that I really just couldn't prevent myself from falling. My legs just like gave out. So I tried to kind of twist in a way where I wasn't landing directly on my stomach. So I kind of landed like on the upper right side of my stomach and tried to catch the rest with my elbows and knees, and that's why I'm still recovering. Like I still have scratches and bruises on my knees and elbows, and my hand was bruised really bad from trying to catch myself. So immediately after I fell, my husband was at work and I could hear my parents like up at their house. I could hear like cars in their driveway, so I knew that somebody was home. So I called my mom and I was like, hey, I just fell out here and I had tried to get up, but my legs were so weak that I couldn't like get myself up. And I was like, I can't get up, and the baby was not moving directly after the fall. So I was really, really concerned that I had like hurt her in some way or hurt my placenta or something in some way, because she was not moving at all. So I was freaking out. They rushed down the mountainside to come meet me. My dad picked me up and I was showing him where like I had fallen, because I had mud all over me, like in the spots where I had hit the ground. And so they were like, okay, well, let's just go to the ER just to be safe and make sure that everything's okay. We rush over to the ER. The closest one is LeConte, and I'm not delivering at LeConte, so my OB is not there, but we wanted to get somewhere where we could be evaluated the fastest. We get over to LeConte, they check me in, and she had started like hiccuping on the ride over, so I knew that she was at least moving. So I was a little bit reassured by that, but I was still really concerned that she hadn't had any big movements, and I wanted to make sure that everything was okay. I wasn't like contracting or leaking fluid or anything like that. But we ended up being in the waiting room for quite a while, and I had called Elijah when we were on our way to the ER, and he was the only person that was working his store. So he called his boss and he was like, hey, my wife's going to the ER, she's 36 weeks pregnant and I need to go meet her at the ER. So he ended up closing the store just to meet me at the ER, but he was about an hour away at the location that he was at. So when he finally got to the ER, we kind of had a discussion about whether or not we should continue waiting at LeConte's ER, or if we should just go ahead and go up to Knoxville, up to UT, where I'm going to be delivering anyway, because if the wait was going to be longer than an hour, then it would be worth the drive to be up there. So he went and talked to the front desk, and they didn't really have a time estimate on how long it would take for me to be seen. They said that usually events like that would be like top priority, but because they had so many people in the waiting room waiting for hours and hours, that they had to go in sequential order, which I totally understand. There were other pregnant women that had been waiting there for like 3+ hours in the waiting room, unfortunately. So we made a call to my OB, and they had recommended that we just come directly up there and they would get us in. So that's what we did. Just ended up driving up to Knoxville, and we didn't even get to Knoxville, I don't think, until around like 9 o'clock at night, or 9:30ish. We got admitted. At that point, she was moving quite a lot when they put her on the monitor. Generally, they do 4 hours of continuous monitoring for heart rate and contractions after a fall like that. But because I fell at like right before 6 o'clock, and it was already like 10 o'clock at that point, they just said, we'll just monitor you for the remainder of the 4-hour period and make sure that everything looks good, and we'll do some blood work to make sure that your placenta is good, that you haven't had an abruption or anything like that, and then we'll just go ahead and release you. So we were like, okay, that sounds great, because we didn't want to have to be in the ER waiting for 4 hours, because Elijah had to work the next morning and we had been in the ER pretty much all day at that point. They just decided that they were just going to monitor me for about, I think I was monitored for about an hour and a half. I know that's longer than the 4-hour period, but they just wanted to be 100% sure, and I had to wait for my blood work to come back, so I was monitored for the entire time that they ran my blood work. And unfortunately, I am such a hard stick that it took, I think, 7 people total to finally get blood drawn from me. And if you've watched my 28-week glucose update, then you know how hard of a stick I am. The first nurse had come in and she tried twice in my inner elbow here, and she couldn't get blood from there. I subsequently had like 4 or 5 different nurses come in afterwards and just look at my arms and try to find a vein. None of them tried to stick me, but they all said that my veins were very small, and the anatomy of it just made it really hard for them to get blood from either arm or wrist or hand. They ended up having to call someone from phlebotomy to come down and draw blood from me, and the phlebotomist ended up using like a 10 gauge like plunger syringe to get blood from this vein right here in my wrist, which was really uncomfortable, but I was just happy at that point that they had gotten blood at all. They went ahead and ran all the blood work and everything looked perfectly normal. So we were discharged that night, I think at around, I want to say 10:30 or 10:45-ish. But afterwards, I was ridiculously sore, and it took me pretty much the whole week to recover from that fall. I guess I didn't realize how badly I hurt myself in the moment, because I was much more concerned with her not moving and having possibly hurt her in some way. By the time that I got home and showered, I realized how badly I was scraped up and bruised up. Even the one on my hand is like just now healing. Not only did I fall and have to go to the ER, but it just so happened to occur on the same day that I was in the ER last year for our miscarriage, and we just happened to go to the same ER first. So August 14th of last year, I ended up going to LeConte for our miscarriage, and then August 14th this year, I ended up going to LeConte for my fall. Both events were really traumatic, and just being there again for a pregnancy-related issue was really tough mentally on me. Yeah, it was just a really tough day all around. I think August 14th is cursed for me, and maybe I should just stay home every year on August 14th. That's what's been going on with me and with baby. Like I said, it's been a really, really tough past couple of weeks. I'm just hoping that it's smoother sailing now from here on out, even though I have no idea which car we're going to be bringing her home from the hospital in. I have no idea what the car situation looks like on my end. I currently have no car. Elijah's car, we don't drive. I don't drive in the car with him because he has no AC, and I'm not really willing to bring her home in a car that doesn't have AC in September. So he's getting that fixed this week. We had taken it to the dealership to get it diagnosed because we know that there's a leak somewhere, but we don't know if it's in the AC compressor or if it's in the tubing. And they also couldn't diagnose where the leak was for some reason. They charged him $200 to basically say, yeah, you have a leak somewhere. And we were like, yeah, we know that. That's why we brought it to the dealership for it to be diagnosed, because we don't know which part to replace. Unfortunately, that also happened, so we just ordered a whole new compressor, and my dad's gonna put it in, and we're hoping that that fixes the issue, because it's a big enough leak to where the AC runs out after being charged after like 2 or 3 days, and they didn't see any of the dye like around the tubing, so we're assuming that maybe it's a leak somewhere in the compressor that's big enough to where we're losing all of the AC. So we're hoping that that fixes it, and we're hoping that she stays put for the time being so that we can get that car fixed, so that we won't technically need a rental to bring her home in. But it will be tough only having one car, considering he works out of the home and he has to go back to work within like 2 weeks of her being born. We're just hoping to really expedite that process so that we can have 2 cars again. We actually thought that we were gonna have to go to the hospital again, because on the 23rd, so just a couple of days ago, I started having really bad intense back pain, and I have been having back pain in like my left sciatic nerve area for a couple of weeks, but this was pain that I could not get to go away with any positional changes or drinking water or anything that usually helps my sciatic nerve pain. Sitting down, I could not get it to go away, and they were coming in like contraction like intervals, which resulted in me actually having contractions, like my stomach tightening, and I would get really nauseous with each contraction, and it was just really painful. So I thought I could possibly be going into early labor. We went ahead and we put all the bags in the car, and we installed the car seat base in the rental because we weren't sure whether or not we were gonna have to go to the hospital. I kind of just waited it out, and I ended up eating a little bit of food and taking a hot shower, and that did alleviate some of the pain in my back. I have still been having a lot of back pain, but it's not generally been accompanied by contractions now at this point. So I'm not really sure what was going on. I don't know if it was Braxton Hicks or if it was just false labor or if it was just prodromal labor. I really have no idea. I did record a little bit of that night just in case it just so happened to be early labor. So I've still been having a lot of back pain, and I'm kind of rendered useless at this point. There's really nothing that I can do without irritating my back anymore. It wakes me up in the middle of the night just from the back pain. There's no position that's comfortable anymore. It's been really rough sleeping. It's been really rough trying to get anything done. So I'm basically confined to a sitting position for the entirety of the day at this point. I'm really just useless. There's really nothing that I can do. Really standing for any length of time is just incredibly painful. So, and I'm just entirely ready to be done with this pregnancy. It has been one of the hardest things that I've ever done in my entire life, and I've been miserable for the majority of my pregnancy. I would say that there's been maybe 6 weeks out of the entire 38 that I've felt okay and had energy and felt good. So yeah, I'm just entirely ready to be done at this point, but we only have a few more short weeks. I do actually have an induction scheduled for 41 weeks on the dot, so that would be September 18th if I were to make it that far. But we are really hoping that, given the severity of my back pain and the labor symptoms that I've been having, that she decides to come naturally on her own before then, because I really don't want to go to 41 weeks and I really don't want to have to be induced if that's not necessary. That's the situation that we're in right now. I still have weekly OB appointments. My next one is on Monday, and they've been checking my placenta and doing an ultrasound every single week that I've been going since like 33 weeks. I was a little bit concerned that with the back and side pain that I was having, that it could be an issue with my placenta from my fall that I had earlier this month, but they have been continuously checking on my placenta and my blood pressure and fluid levels and making sure that she's been practicing her breathing and that she's in a good position. So they've been doing that weekly and she looks really good. She's estimated at around 6 pounds 9 ounces, but that was at our growth scan at 36 weeks and I'm now almost 38 weeks, so she's definitely a little bit bigger and I can definitely feel that. But yeah, she's a good size. Everything has been looking good aside from recovering from falling. But my blood pressure has been really good. Fluid levels have been good. I wasn't having any contractions after I fell. Her heart rate has been really good, really steady, not having any decels or anything like that. Her movement's been good, even though she is very much so cramped in there at this point. She's still having consistent movement. I guess I just wanted to give a little bit of a last minute update because I would assume that the next video that I put out would be me going into labor, like labor symptoms, like a little vlog style video that I kind of plan on getting. But yeah, I would think that would be the next update that you guys would see from me. But I just wanted to kind of catch you guys up on what's been going on and give you guys an update on my car and what's been going on with me. It's been really tough past couple of weeks. It's been a really tough month in general. And I'm just really hoping that it's done raining metaphorically and that we can just have smoother sailing at this point. And we're really just trying to focus on the things that we can control, because all of this stuff has been out of our control and it's just been really hard to deal with. Yeah, we're just trying to focus on things that we can control and just trying to enjoy these last couple of weeks, you know, anticipating her arrival with just me and my husband and our family, and just trying to get really excited for her arriving. So, but yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and subscribe for more updates from me, because like I said, my next update will likely be early labor symptoms or her arriving. I still need to do a nursery tour, so hopefully I can get up and do a 360 of her room. Get up and stand up long enough to do a 360 of her room for you guys. We're pretty much all ready. Bags are in the car. I feel definitely underprepared for labor and underprepared for what to do after she's here, but I would assume any planning would not feel like enough. Anything I do is not going to feel like enough. Yeah, I'm just ready to not be sharing my body with another person any longer and to have all of these late stage pregnancy pains absolved. That's it for this update. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I guess I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!